friends, it's Amanda here, and today we're talking about a new palette coming soon from Nomad Cosmetics. This is the Chicago Speakeasy palette. Here's what it looks like inside. This is one of their 15 pan eyeshadow palettes. The Chicago Speakeasy palette will be available on Tuesday, October 8th, and it'll be priced at $59 US. This palette has 10 matte shades and 5 multi-chromes in the middle row here. So that accounts for that slightly higher price point. But you can use my affiliate code. It's just my first name, Amanda, and that will save you 10% on this palette and pretty much anything else on the Nomad site. If you are planning on placing a Nomad order, I have a bunch of other palette reviews, rankings, tutorials, and stuff. So make sure you check those out as well, because I have a lot of Nomad content for you. I genuinely really enjoy this brand. And I have to tell you, when I first opened this palette, I was kind of feeling a little meh towards it, a little ambivalent. But the more I have used this, my feelings towards this palette have definitely evolved as I've used it. So I won't give away all of my thoughts here at the beginning because I do want to show you close-ups and swatches and things like that before I get to my opinion. And I'm also going to show you these two different eye looks as well. So I have a lot of info for you. Let's just start with a close-up look at this palette and its packaging.
We're looking at the front cover of the outer carton as well as the actual palette itself. I just wanted to illustrate that these two are really different design-wise, but I feel like they flow together really nicely. They have that very stylized, very Art Deco type of vibe to them. The front cover of the outer carton, the cardboard box that the palette comes in, has this depiction of all the different folks hanging out at the speakeasy, the performers. We've got jazz, we've got gangsters, we've got flappers. All of the theming is really fun. It's cute, it's different for them, but it still feels authentic to the Nomad brand. So I really am intrigued by this. I like the palette packaging style a lot. I'm never a huge fan of these velvety details on the outside of palettes. I just feel like they tend to grab on to stuff. They tend to get a little dirty and tend to be a little bit more difficult to clean. But I understand the objective, and I do think that it makes sense. It's just sort of a personal preference that's not my favorite. The Chicago Speakeasy palette is vegan and cruelty free. Inside the palette here, we see a nice big mirror, and I really like the backdrop here. It reminds me of an old bar top, but it also has a little bit of a swirling cocktail type of look to it too. I just think that it fits really nicely with the theme and with the colors inside. We have a row on top and bottom of the typical velvety matte shadows that I've come to expect and love from Nomad. And then in the center, we have all of the shimmers. That middle row has 5 different shifty multi-chrome shimmers. This palette definitely seems to be laid out in columns. So each column of 3 shadows makes a really nice, easy, curated look in and of itself. And then it also seems to me like the front half of the palette has a purpley theme. The back half of the palette has this really warm, neutral reds and browns theme. And then right in the center is sort of a flexible color story with these pops of green that work really well with both purple and the more reddish neutrals as well. If you know me, if you've watched my channel at all, then you know that I love a palette that has half colorful, half neutral, and my favorite eyeshadow colors to wear are purple and green. So this palette's hitting a lot of the right notes for me. Personally, I'm having trouble connecting with that center light, sherbety, minty green matte shade. It just feels a little bit out of place for me. I personally would like to see a richer, more foresty green matte shade there. I think that's just a personal preference for me because I really love jewel tones. And so I would love to see the introduction of a nice deep jewel toned green matte shade there instead. I'm not big on more pastel type shades like this minty green, but I will say I like that that green pop is a little bit unexpected, and it definitely makes the palette look and feel more dynamic as an entire color story. Because we have multi-chrome shades in here, I wanted to show you some flash lighting to really show off those sparkles and the shifts. I think it's a lot more apparent when you see these shimmer shades move through different types of lighting. I think texture wise, all of these shadows are nice and soft and velvety feeling. Everything performs well, both with the finger swatches and the brush swatches. What you're seeing on my arm swatch here are finger swatches on top and then brush swatches directly below. That way, you get a sense for how these might look with different application methods. And then I also like to show you some of the shadows in action on my eyes as well. That way you can get a really well-rounded look at not only the colors and the packaging, but also the textures and the performance on the eye. So I used my Ulta matte eye primer and then I set that primer with the shade Prohibition on both sides. But from here on out, I'm going to work pretty separately and I'm going to do two very different eye looks using the two different halves of this palette. So for my first look, I'm really sticking with these sultry neutral purple shades. I like that these have a more dusty, desaturated undertone. It makes them feel like they have just one toe dipped into the neutral sphere, while there's still definitely a colorful shadow, but it's just not an in your face color. It has a softness and a bit of a romantic feel to it. This ended up being my favorite eye look. I really, really like both of the looks that I did, but this is the one that I was itching to try again the next day. And I have to say, after wearing these shadows, I'm happy with the wear time that I get. I'm happy with the ease of application and the ease of blending and layering. But I do find that the more I combine these colors, the more interesting and dynamic this color story starts to feel. At first glance, I did feel like, oh, maybe this is just a regular old neutral palette with a little pop of green in there. But the way that all of these colors and tones work together is really inspiring to me. It's definitely within my personal style repertoire because these are the types of colors that I often gravitate towards. But they're just so much more interesting and showy, I guess is the word I'm looking for, once they're actually applied to the eye. I think this is a smart release for Nomad overall because this does have a celebratory, opulent, bit of a holiday feel to it between the red and gold packaging and the shimmers and the cocktail vibe. It definitely feels like an appropriate holiday type of release without being so on the nose. So I really like that. I don't know if they're calling this their holiday release or not, but it's October, so we're pretty much there at this point. I also like that this is the palette following the Fuji Five Lakes palette, which was definitely a lot more bold, primary, very colorful, not a lot of desaturation, not a lot of neutral feeling in the Fuji Five Lakes palette. So this just seems like a great balance. It seems like a great follow-up to anybody who is a fan of the Nomad brand, but maybe felt like Fuji Five Lakes was too bold, or maybe just colors that you're not necessarily drawn towards. I think things like blues, yellows, and reds can be difficult, and it's not in everybody's comfort zone or style zone. This just feels like a great follow up. I can also imagine this working very nicely hand in hand with the Fuji Five Lakes palette, which Now that I said that out loud, I kind of want to go and come up with some shadow combos with these two palettes because I can see how they are a really nice foil to one another. Even though this wasn't an automatic, I'm in love with you type of love at first sight, as I often experience with new eyeshadow palettes, this is more of a slow burn, and it's really grown to be something that I've enjoyed and been excited about going back to over the past week that I've been testing this. And I think that says a lot. I think that that means this is going to have some longevity in my collection. That's always a great thing. Let me know if you want to see some more looks with this or maybe combining this with the Fuji palette if you're interested.
Now's the time when I want to hear what you think about this new Chicago Speakeasy palette. Are you interested? Which one of these eye looks is your favorite? I always love to hear what you think about things too, so make sure you leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Ooh, hold on, let's try that again. Whoa. All right. Where was I? I forget what I was saying because I had to look up information. I do still feel like this green is a little bit out of place. If it was like a more hunter green type of color, like this type of green, imagine that, you know? I know it would be giving Christmas, but I don't care. I mean, it's October. We can do holiday. It's already red and gold. The Art Deco velvet and gold. It's very celebratory. It's very plush. It's giving night out on the town. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm talking about. So I don't know how you could possibly make sense of any of this. Both of these eye looks are so cute. Are they basic? Sure. Does that matter? Not to me. Let's try that again. I don't know which one I like better. I think I slightly prefer the purple one, but this is really cute too. I love this red shifty multi-chrome shade. I want to go to a speakeasy. I want to wear a cool dress and a super deep lipstick and drink a cool cocktail in a dark place with lots of like oak paneling. That sounds amazing. I should be wearing lots of beads in this scenario or sequins. I love an embellishment. One thing about me, I love a sparkly, spangly, embellished dress. Exhibit A. All right, I hope I remembered to include everything in this video that I needed to include. I'm sure it'll work out. It'll be fine. Thanks for watching. I'm always so happy that you're here. It's really nice of you to stop by the channel and watch this little video that I put together. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you, and I hope that you're having a great weekend. And if you're not watching this when it's posted on the weekend, then I hope that you're having a great other part of the week. And I think you're special and fancy, and I love your face. Bye.